Rip Scott.
Speaking of, the Vikings wrapped up their minicamp last week.
Yeah, Danielle Hunter came out to practice.
He made a post on Instagram today for the first time in forever.
Did he put all of the Viking stuff that he wiped off Instagram back on there yet?
A picture of him in a Vikings jersey, and he said, "Let's go, season 7."
Good. I honestly, I don't think it was ever as bad as it was made out to sound by was it Rappaport who tweeted something during the season that sounded really horrible
During last season?
Yeah.
It could have been. I'm
about
not sure.
how it's going to be basically a reckoning off season for the purple regarding Danielle Hunter because he's really unhappy. And then of course, Doomsday Florio on PFT took and ran with it, and he's been posting updates on the status every fucking week.
Well, it's a good way for Danielle to get his upper hand,
He's
for
got
him
his
though,
bag,
if you
man.
look,
he made his money this year.
It's really not though the upper hand because now the purple have an out. He must know that his neck is fine. That's the bottom line. Because if that neck's not fine,
You're
not
not
a lot of
risking
money.
$18 million.
Yeah. So I guess in retrospect for fans like us, that's good news.
Mm-hmm.
You hope his neck is okay.
And then we
Ready
can
to roll.
restructure him.
Yeah, or just straight up give him a new contract.
So the Vikings have, I think, roughly $15 million right now in cap space.
Larry Fitz.
Do you think it fits? I heard rumors of trading for Stephon Gilmore.
I would love it.
Oh, Gilmore would be awesome.
Really,
I would love
just
it.
a brand new cornerback group.
I would.
Why not?
Bring back
Stephon Gilmore,
Dantzler, and then
Patrick
everyone
Peterson.
else is new from last year.
I would absolutely adore
That'd be
Stephon Gilmore.
Imagine that.
What would you give up for him? Would you give a first?
He's
He's
29, 30.
and it's a borrowed time. We're not re-signing him
You don't know that. You would assume that though.
with the money that you're paying a guy that age. I wouldn't think so.
He's
but
30, turns 31.
he's the same draft as Xavier Rhodes.
Would you give up 2/3 for him?
Just for 1 year. That is all in. That's us pushing our chips in if we make a trade like that.
Is his contract info there?
I can look it up.
Yeah, what's his cap hit? And how many years?
Let's
does he
remember
have
this
left?
though. If the Vikings,
this is his last year.
Alex, we need you.
if the Vikings season goes as we all hope it goes, and especially the Vikings front office hopes it goes, Kirk Cousins will be the starter this year, and he will be gone in the offseason, and Kellen Mond will be stepping in as the starter. So you're going to have a quarterback on a rookie contract. So you could afford Stephon Gilmore.
Right now, last year, the deal, 2021, cap hit is going to be 16.265.
And can you honestly tell me if this season ends up the way we want it to and we win a Super Bowl that they're just going to let Kirk go? When's the last time a Super Bowl winning quarterback went to a new team the next year?
Big Dick Nick.
That wasn't the next year.
It was the
though?
year.
No, because he played again and he brought them back to the playoffs
Yeah.
and won a playoff game.
Did he
with them.
really?
Yeah.
He won in the double doink in Chicago.
Yeah. It was a
So
ugly
was that-
playoff game.
2019? No, Double Doink was the year they won, wasn't it?
No, double dunk was the year after.
Double doink was the year
It was
after.
the year that the Vikings missed making the playoffs
Mr.
to
Cody
the
Parker.
Bears.
Yep.
Week 17.
Yep.
So I was at that game.
And they were
And I
playing
was
their
sad
backups.
and drunk.
I suppose technically,
Yeah.
yeah. So the year the Vikings or the Eagles won the Super Bowl was technically 17, right?
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
were in that playoffs.
Yep.
In the double dunk year, we didn't make the playoffs because the Bears made the playoffs.
But that was 18?
I think
18, the Eagles.
in
He
Rick
started
Spielman's mind and
5
Rob
games.
Brzezinski's mind, Kellen Mond will be the starter for the 2022-23 season.
Regardless of how this year ends up.
That's the plan on paper, in my opinion. Now, of course, it's the NFL. Things change week to week. But that's got to be the plan on paper because that's your most clear-cut path to keeping the guys that you want to be able to keep. If you have to pay Kirk 40+ million, it gets very difficult.
He's not getting paid 40+ million.
Well, then you
You'd
extend
have to
him.
restructure them.
You want to extend him another year or two then and have him going into
He
the
said
end of
he-
Kellen Mond's rookie year or rookie contract?
Won't take an extension. He said he wants to play this out and then go from there.
I just think he's the guy that, okay, Kirk Cousins is very good at playing the contract game, obviously. He made it through 2 franchise tags, got a big money bag from the purple. But, at some point as the purple, you got to say, okay, fine, you can go be somebody else's issue.
Yeah.
And that's what they drafted Kellen Mond for, is hopefully he can develop into the starter. You'll have now a starter on a rookie contract. You can just bulk up the pieces around him.
Best
go.
case scenario is Mond taking over this year then and us winning the Super Bowl because we're all in.
That is a
bringing
fair
in
point.
these things because if we win the Super Bowl, they're going to pay him the $40 billion. They're
But
not.
I also think if they go anywhere but win the Super Bowl, I think the chance of Mond being the starter next year is very good.
Yeah.
So we eat 40 mil.
No, they have a potential out before the new league year starts for 2022. The Purple have an out on Kirk's contract where they would have dead cap of like $12 million.
Is this Kellen Mond that good?
No one knows.
Well, nobody knows if he's that
He's
good.
got a big
but-
arm.
He's
And
a
he's
a
mobile.
project.
I mean, Russell Wilson was a 3rd round pick. He ended up being really good.
Yeah,
You can
that's
get a
fair.
good player in the 3rd.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just think that in the Vikings world, not Zimmer, because Zimmer's job is to win right now. Zimmer wants to win right now. But if you're Rick Spielman and you're Rob Brzezinski, you got to be looking at this long play. You can't afford to keep paying Kirk Cousins $35 to $40 million a year, and it's only going to go up when the salary cap goes up. That's why Kirk doesn't want to do a new deal right now. It's because the salary cap's going to go up big time after this season with the new TV money, and then it's going to jump again after the next season. You're looking at a salary cap probably raising 30 to 40 million
So it went down this
in
year.
the next 2 years. Yeah.
It does say 2022 salary fully guaranteed on 3/19/2021,
Yeah.
which means next year's is guaranteed.
No, it's not.
Fully
There's an out.
guaranteed.
I was listening to a podcast, a Vikings podcast, and they do have an out on Kirk's contract. They do. But I don't remember the exact date.
So that'd be before 3/19/2021.
Well, no,
we're
that already-
past
that- we're
3/19,
past that.
2021.
March 19th to 21, which would have already passed. But they do have an out on his contract where they would have to eat 12 million in dead space. But if you're eating 12 million and only $500,000 or whatever the number is, or $1.5 million, you're still only paying your quarterback 13 million for 1 year. That's a cheap contract.
That's a steal.
So we'll
Gives
see.
Flexibility on Danielle Hunter.
Well, then back to the original point of Stephon Gilmore. If you were to go get him and he had a good year for you, you're realistically at that point, you could re-sign him if Kirk's gone. But if Kirk's being paid 40 plus million, you're probably not re-signing him.
Gilmore's wheels haven't fallen off yet. He's been very good for like the last 6 years, right?
Yeah.
But he's going to be 31, like week 3 of the NFL this year. Do you really
And-
want to give him a big contract to keep him here?
And look at the Patriots too. The Patriots know when to get rid of guys.
Yeah. So if they're looking to deal him, it's not because he's in his prime and they have a really good chance of winning the Super Bowl. It's because they're trying to move on from a player that's going to spend a lot of money that probably won't bring that value.
I'd rather trade a second for Yannick Ngakoue.
And then flip it for a third.
Yeah.
Dirty dog.
Get some pass rush going.
We know how to wheel and deal around here. Okay.
And also being a new Raider super fan, I got a Yannick Ngakoue jersey on the way too.
Nice.
So I'll be rocking that at some point.
I mean, there is some
Under
players
my Carl Nassib jersey, of
that
course.
have played well into their 30s. It's not unreasonable to think. Gilmore's got a
Cornerbacks?
We
few
just
more
paid
years.
Patrick Peterson a bunch of money, and that dude's like 32.
He got like 7 mil.
For 1 year, yeah.
Yeah, but that would be Stephon Gilmore.
10 mil.
I know you're talking about would you want to extend him, which Gilmore I wouldn't give more than like a 2 or 3 year extension to. And
How much would you give
realistically,
him?
And you
probably-
got to also consider whether he wants to. You're borrowing him when you trade for him. He might say, I don't want to end my career in Minnesota.
you might
I'm
want to
going
go
back
ring
to
chasing.
Buffalo. Like they're a better team right now or something. So you have no idea. When you trade and you give up for him, is the same thing with Yannick Ngakoue, and that's why I brought it up. He
Let's-
didn't want to go re-sign here, so we got stuff back. Well, we could.
Let's work under the pretense of you're renting Gilmore for 1 year. What are you giving up?
I would give up a 3.
A single third, a 2022 third.
Yeah.
I would. Too.
I'd pay more. I'd give a second.
Would you
Mhm.
for a 1 year rental?
F yeah.
I don't know. I just seems to bite teams, and we're already decent in that position. I feel like there's other players that I'd rather rent than a cornerback when we do have Patrick Peterson and Dancer and Breland and
Alexander.
Matt.
I am genuinely curious though what their plan is with this 15 million because
They're going to do something with it.
they
They have
ended
to.
up the numbers came out on Sheldon Richardson's contract, who we offered less money to him than Cleveland. By the way, that came out today. Cleveland offered him more, but he came back to us because he likes Zimmer. But when they
Cleveland also
restructured,
just cut him, so it might be a little bitter.
well, there's part of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Players don't get bitter.
No.
Danielle Hunter's contract, when we restructured his, we opened up $4.5 million on this year's cap. And that's exactly what we paid Richardson. So we still kept that 15-ish million available with bringing Richardson in. I'm just curious what their plan is, because 15 million to have is
D.D.
like,
Westbrook.
that's a decent amount of change.
And we could get him for
Seriously, and not
3.5.
15 mil. I'm just
Didi-
saying
no,
in general.
Didi's been talked about. Geno Atkins was talked about too before they brought in Richardson.
Do you think you could take this 15 mil and restructure contracts to pay Kirk more money this year to drop the cap next year?
Honestly, if I'm the purple, this is what I'm doing. I'm taking the 15 and I'm pocketing it. You know, there's going to be a good older pass rusher that's going to get cut off in the preseason. I would sign them to go opposite to Neil Hunter.
Get a D end.
Get a D end. So you're not putting as much pressure on your Wanhams and your Weatherlys. Because think about this: if you have
Melvin Ingram's still out there right now too.
yeah, he had been floated around for the purple, but not by anybody that was reputable. It was just an idea kind of thing.
What does Larry Fitz do for you?
A lot. I would love Fitz.
As a fan, I like it. As far as what I think he can do on the field, I don't know.
You don't
how
think
much
he
he'd
could be
help.
a fourth or fifth producing offensive player on
I
the
think
field?
he could, but I think I'd be more excited just to have him on the team than what he would do. I think we could bring in Dede Westbrook and he would
Just be the same
be
amount
the
of
same
production.
but I just wouldn't be as excited about it. Or Jerry's Right, even bring him back.
Oh, J Wright would be awesome.
I think he wants to come
I was
back.
kind of hoping.
Justin Houston's available.
Yeah, he's been talked about too. As
These
a
guys,
rumor.
I'm sure you could, if they wanted to still play, I don't think they'd cost all that much.
$7 million.
I feel like I think I'd
Maybe
rather have
that.
Melvin Ingram than Houston though.
I think so too.
I
I mean, imagine that front with Danielle Hunter, Ingram, Tomlinson, Sheldon Richardson,
Pierce.
and Michael Pierce.
Is there any guards, offensive linemen we might have our eyes on?
I just don't think at this stage of the game there's anybody worth throwing money at. Unless
That's
we're
another
trading.
thing though. Somebody could get cut or somebody could become available via trade because a rookie looks really good in the preseason.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. 15 mil is a lot to play with at this time of the year.
Yeah. And I'm sure they also have some money reserved in case this kicker situation goes pear-shaped.
Who's their kicker right now?
Corey Joseph, I think his name is, or something like that.
What a guy.
He hasn't kicked meaningful kicks for I think 2 years.
Well, I'm excited nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean,
The season's going to be fun.